Shritva Pranamami Muhur Muhur Namaha Shri Yatiraja Viveka Ananda Sure Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swamine Tapaharine Swamine Tapaharine Gurura Brahma Gurura Vishnu Gurudevo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha Tatsavitu Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo yo Nah Prachodaya Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha Tatsavitu Varenyam Hare भगवान की जय। पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। श्री अम्बे अम्बे मात की जय।
On page 219. Achyutam Keshavam Ramanarayanam Krishna Dhamodharam Vasudevam Harim Sridharam Madhavam Gopika Vallabham Janaki Nayakam Ramachandram Bhaje. Achyutam Keshavam Satyabhamadhavam Madhavam Sridharam Radhikaradhitam Indhiram Indhiram Chetasa Sundharam Devaki Nandanam Nandajam Sandhade. Vishnave Jishnave Shankine Chakrine Rukmini Ragini Janaki Janaye Vallavi Vallabhayarchitaya Mane Kamsavet Kamsine Kamshine Te Namah. Krishna Govinda Hai Ramanarayana Shripate Vasudev Vajita Shridhine Achyutananda Hai Madhavadokshaja Dwarkanayaka Draupadi Rakshasa. Rakshasa Shobhita Sitaya Shobhito Dandakaranyavo Punyatakaranam Lakshmane Navito Vanarai Sevito Agastya Sampojito Raghava Patuma. Venukarishta Nishtakriteshiha Keshiha Kamsahe Kamshika Vadaka Kodara Kopaka Suraja Kherano Balgo Balaka Patuma Sarvada. Vidyuyodyotavat Praspuradvasasam Pravidam Hodavat Mulasadvigraham Kanyaya Malaya Shobhito Rashtaram Lohitam Dhritmaya Parijaksham Bhaje. Kunchile Kuntale Vrajamananam Ratnamolimbasa Kundalam Gandayo Arkeyorakam Kankanaprojvalam Kinkini Manjulam Shamalam Tam Bhaje. Shubhashtakam Yapate Nishtakam Premata Pratyaham Purusha Saspriham Premata Sundharam Kartrivishwamaras Tasya Vasho Harim Jayate Satvaram Tasya Vasho Harim Jayate Satvaram Tasya Vasho Harim Jayate Satvaram. Shri Ramakrishna Bhagavan
भगवान की जय।
Pavan Sut Hanuman
की जय।
Shri Ambe Ambe Mat ki Jai. Shri
निरञ्जनं नित्यम् अनन्तरूपं भक्तानुकम्पा धृतविग्रहं वै ईशावतारं परमेशमेध्यं तं रामकृष्णं शिरसा नमामः। जय गुणनन्दन जय घनश्याम देवकी नंदन सुंदर श्याम। 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 यन्द यशोदा प्रिय गोपाल गोप गोपी प्रिय गिरिधर लाल। नंद यशोदा प्रिय गोपाल गोप गोपी प्रिय गिरिधर लाल। नंद यशोदा प्रिय गोपाल गोप गोपी प्रिय गिरिधर लाल। नंद यशोदा प्रिय गोपाल गोप गोपी प्रिय गिरिधर लाल। परा ब्रह्मा निर्गुण गुणमान जय परमेश्वर शक्तिमान। 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 जय गुणनन्दन जय घनश्याम देवकी नंदन सुंदर श्याम। जय गुणनन्दन जय घनश्याम देवकी नंदन सुंदर श्याम। नंद यशोदा प्रिय गोपाल गोप गोपी प्रिय गिरिधर लाल। नंद यशोदा प्रिय गोपाल गोप गोपी प्रिय गिरिधर लाल। परा ब्रह्मा निर्गुण गुणवान जय परमेश्वर शक्तिमान। परा ब्रह्मा निर्गुण गुणवान जय परमेश्वर शक्तिमान। जय गुणनन्दन जय घनश्याम देवकी नंदन सुंदर श्याम। जय गुणनन्दन जय घनश्याम देवकी नंदन सुंदर श्याम। नंद यशोदा प्रिय गोपाल गोप गोपी प्रिय गिरिधर लाल। नंद यशोदा प्रिय गोपाल गोप गोपी प्रिय गिरिधर लाल। परा ब्रह्मा निर्गुण गुणवान जय परमेश्वर शक्तिमान। परा ब्रह्मा निर्गुण गुणवान जय परमेश्वर शक्तिमान। जय गुणनन्दन जय घनश्याम देवकी नंदन सुंदर श्याम। जय गुणनन्दन जय घनश्याम देवकी नंदन सुंदर श्याम। ओम श्री राम कृष्ण भगवान की जय। पवन सुत हनुमान अम्बे मात की जय। बोलो कृष्ण कन्हैया लाल की जय।
Krishna Mukunda Murari. Jaya Krishna Mukunda Murari. Jaya Krishna Mukunda Murari. Jaya Krishna Mukunda Murari. Jaya Krishna Murari. Karuna Sagar Kamala Nayaka. Karuna Sagar Kamala Nayaka. Muganda Murari. Om Shri Ramakrishna Bhagavan ki jai. Pavan Hanuman ki jai. Shri Ambe Mata ki jai. Shri Krishna Kanhaiya Lal ki jai.
Respected elders, sisters, brothers, and dear children, Om Namo Narayanaya. On behalf of the officials of the Ramakrishna Center of South Africa, Phoenix, Johannesburg Sub-Center, I extend a warm and cordial welcome to each and every one of you to this morning's satsang, commemorating the auspicious occasion of Krishna Ashtami, also known as Gita Week. I further take this opportunity to convey greetings and good wishes from our President, revered Swami Sharda Prabhananda Ji Maharaj, as well as revered Swami Swatma Ramananda Ji Maharaj. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, relinquishing all individual effort, take refuge in me alone. Self-surrender, self-surrender, self-surrender. That is the way. There is no other. In this Kali Yuga, man depends too much on food and is short-lived. He has too many things to do in this brief span of life. He possesses very little energy, strength, courage, and spirit of penance that is essential for God realization. His mind is weak and naturally runs after enjoyment. But in spite of all of this, God has to be realized. Without God realization, life is vain. One comes into this world and goes out of it without accomplishing anything worthy. We must therefore realize God. There is no path easier than self-surrender. Self-surrender simply means that a devotee has to pray constantly with a pure heart. Dr. Usha Vastare is the co-founder of Yogashema Rehabilitation and Wellness Center since 2007. She has spent over 20 years in the USA. Subsequently, she has worked as the Clinical Project Coordinator, Parkinson's disease and movement disorder at the Pennsylvania Hospital. She presents papers at international conferences and has been interviewed on several TV and radio channels in India and the USA. She has facilitated over 400 support group meetings at Yogashema and conducted numerous workshops on mind training, mindful living, healthy living, overcoming automatic negative thoughts, forgiveness, improving interpersonal relationships, depression, stress management, and various other topics. I respectfully call upon Dr. Usha Vastare to render this morning's talk.
Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmaswarupine avatara varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te namah. A very good morning to you all. Sunday morning, I see that you're all here bright and early. And to listen to such beautiful devotional bhajans, it was a treat. Not today, but maybe some other time, we will see how such devotional songs and that kind of bhakti alters our brain and thus our mind. Another day. First and foremost, I have to thank the organizers by giving titles like this for me to speak on, and also the next title that they have given me. Everything they say is in the title. What you want to listen to, it gives me an opportunity to put the neuroscience research, especially the recent advances in neuroscience research, and our ancient wisdom together to present it to you. So truly, while preparing for this, I had to go deep and see how I can present this in just 1 hour. I can speak on this for 1 whole day, 2 days to get the broadest picture or deepest picture too. But to be able to present this in a capsule form, in an encapsulated form, just in an hour, that was a challenge. So I thank the organizers pushing me to be giving shorter and shorter time periods and see how we can actually learn from such a topic like this, which is nothing but bringing confluence of science and spirituality together. So today I'm going to start off kind of quite light and show it to you. This brings a smile on your face when you see this slide, right? Yes, sometimes all of us need to look at things from a totally different perspective. Then we will be able to see things in a different way. And when we start seeing things in a different way, whatever we are seeing itself will change. And that's what says in the next slide. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. By now, some of you who have been attending some of these talks that have been arranged by the Ramakrishna Center, you know by now, this is one of my favorite phrases and slides, right? I usually begin with this. So today, how is this going to relate to the topic that we are going to discuss about? Usually, we think of these two terms in different ways. Now you know quite a bit of neuroscience concepts or neuroscience precepts. And you're living a life, a religious life, a spiritual life. Then how are we going to look at these two in a different way is going to be the question, right? So today you're going to see how we can bring these two topics together, neuroscience and spirituality, and see how we can implement this in our daily lives. For me, it's not just about knowing the neuroscience, and it is not just understanding our scriptures. We need to bring these two together so that we can implement in our day-to-day day-to-day lives, every moment of our lives. This is the different perspective that we are going to look at those two words, neuroscience and spirituality, which seems it is so common, of course we understand. But let us see how we can bring this together and look at it from a different perspective as such. I have been on a speaking tour, going to many different countries. Whenever I meet people, it is about this: religion or spirituality. Some people say, I'm not religious, but I'm highly spiritual. They're proud to say that. And for others, I don't know, I'm highly rituals. I'm very happy with my rituals and with my bhakti and whatnot. I hear this again and again across different cultures, not just people with Indian origin, but all different cultures and religions too. So sometimes we put these two terms, religion versus spirituality. And I've been meeting people like this. Nothing wrong, I'm just going to show you how we can make this happen, which is religion and spirituality. No need to choose one over the other, but to be able to have both in our lives. So this we are going to look at then, what is religion and what is spirituality. Such broad picture that we can get. We can look at anything and everything from a religious perspective or from a spiritual perspective. But today we're going to look at this from three different ways. We can get many different definitions or various angles of looking at this. But I have chosen for today's purposes just very simple ways of defining religion and spirituality, keeping in mind how can we implement in our daily lives. Yes, I know you have come across many different definitions, and you will have your own favorite definition of religion and spirituality, no doubt about it. But for implementation purposes in our daily lives, I've chosen three ways. Let us look into each one of them. Common saying, religion is following the messenger. Spirituality is following the message. What do I mean by that? Let us take the example of Lord Krishna himself, because this is what we're celebrating this whole week, Lord Krishna. And let me take the example of Lord Krishna and Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the message we know of Lord Krishna. Then Lord Krishna becomes the messenger and Bhagavad Gita the message. Some of us love Krishna so much. We are so devoted to Lord Krishna. We say, I don't even need the Bhagavad Gita. I love my Krishna so much. Why do I have to bother about going into Bhagavad Gita? People might say that. Some of us say that. And some of us say, yes, I like Lord Krishna, but I went deeper into Bhagavad Gita, and Swamiji says, if you have one text, if you just have to follow one scripture, Bhagavad Gita is enough, is what Swamiji says. So I hold on to Bhagavad Gita, and that is enough for me. I don't even need to do any puja for Lord Krishna as long as I'm following Bhagavad Gita. Some of us say that too. Just keep that thought. We will park this. I'll give you one more example and then come back to the difference between the two. In a similar manner, let's think about Sri Ramakrishna and Vachana Veda, or the Gospel. Gospel or Vachana Veda is the message, and that message was taken over to all different countries we know through whom Swami Vivekananda. And Sri Ramakrishna is the messenger. For some of us, decorating the shrine and decorating the picture of Ramakrishna in such a beautiful, devout manner, that is enough. And we add such devotional bhajans to singing about the glory of Ramakrishna, and that is enough for us. Whereas some of us want to go deeper. We want to know what he said, so we go deeper into gospel, and some of us that is not enough. And so we have Swamijis like ours who want to go deeper, and they even take classes in the great master, which goes even deeper than just the gospel of Ramakrishna. So we listen to that, get inspired, motivated. That's another angle. Right? Now, just think about it. Holding on to just Lord Krishna as our favorite personal God, and Sri Ramakrishna either as a guru or a personal God, or both for that matter, would that be enough? Or going deeper into Bhagavad Gita, going deeper into the gospel, into the great master, understanding the symbolism of the message itself, taking even deeper, is that enough? Again, the way the mind works, we want to choose one over the other. This is how an untrained mind would work. Bringing some neuroscience right from the beginning. What I'm trying to bring in is, we don't need to choose one over the other. It is not about religion or spirituality, or religion versus spirituality. It has to be religion and spirituality. I know, still it is little bit harder for us to understand. So I'm going to take the simplest of simple examples so that we can all, get that aha moment. Now I get what you're saying. And that's by understanding this slide. We all learned how to read from reading the alphabets, right? And we all learned mathematics by counting numbers. Now that I can read books, now that I am an accountant, I can balance the checkbook. Do we say, I don't need to look at the alphabets, I don't need to go into numbers 1, 2, 3 when I can do more complicated computations in mathematics? Does that make sense at all? Can we let go of alphabets? So just so we can we are reading books? Absolutely not, right? When I bring it from this perspective, then we know, yes, we need the religious perspective, like, yes, we need the messenger. Is that going to be enough? No. And we need the message. Only some people can go beyond the messenger, holding on only to the message. We are not at any stage close to that. We need both. In some ways, holding on to the messenger is like the devotion, the bhakti aspect, saying that bhakti is enough for me, I don't need anything. Of following the message is like, I need the knowledge. Knowledge is enough for me. I don't need to go into the bhakti aspect as such. As a continuation of this, in the next talk, again the topic is so beautiful, how to increase our devotion. We will go even deeper into that in the next talk. But today we will just park it at this and see, yes, we need the messenger and we need the message. And how do we combine? And what happens when we combine at the level of the mind, at the level of the brain, at our level of our everyday lives, we will be able to get to that when we combine both these talks. After that, you will get the biggest picture. So that is one aspect of looking at religion and spirituality. I said we're going to look at it from 3 different ways, right? So the first way is this. The second way would be this. Religion is belief in someone else's experience. And spirituality is having your own experience. Yeah. What do I mean by that? Does it mean like we can go steal butter just like baby Krishna from anybody's house? Or does it mean to have a samadhi like Ramakrishna used to go into samadhi so quite often, to go into samadhi, then we can have that kind of experience? No. We are not at that stage. I don't mean it at that level. Yes, our goal has to be aspiring to go towards that. Again, mind you, I use the word towards. We can never get that because it's going towards infinity. If we get to the infinity, then it is not at all infinity. We can only keep going towards that. So at that stage, at that level, we will take it. But then what does this mean? Spirituality is having your own experience. Again, to bring it to our level of implementation, we can say, we can imbibe at least one quality of our personal God or our Guru, whatever it may be. How do we choose one quality of our personal God, of our Guru, and try to implement that in our day-to-day lives? Okay, just let's take examples, 3 examples of Lord Rama, Lord Krishna and Sri Ramakrishna. Lord Rama, there are so many qualities. I'll just give you as an example what I would like to take or what I have taken, and then I keep changing after I kind of feel, okay, I have gotten this quality, move on to another quality. They have so many qualities of Lord Rama, Krishna and Ramakrishna. If you hear the bhajans, we praise the qualities. Just praising is not going to be enough. we need to choose one quality at a time and to work on that quality to be able to implement that in our lives is the whole crux of spirituality is all about. For example, for Lord Rama, he's called Purva Bhashi. I kind of choose these examples so right away we can also pick anybody, one of us can pick these examples and put it into practice in our day-to-day lives. What does that mean? Purva Bhashi. Rama would not wait until somebody talked to him. He would go and talk to anybody and everybody. He would be the first person to talk to. That is Purva Bhashi. I'm just giving a small example. You can pick and choose your own favorite qualities of each of these gods. Lord Krishna, what could it be? He would always try to make others understand and try not to go the hard way. In other words, not to show tough love. And he would always be there for people who depended on him. Us, we don't have to go that far as to who is dependent on us. No, not that way. Whoever comes to us, we can be there for that person. And that has to start right from home. And Sri Ramakrishna, there are so many qualities now. We have learned through Swamiji's lectures. Somebody was giving me, there are, 700 and odd lectures in just less than 2 years. Our Swamiji has given so many of these talks, and all of these talks are on YouTube. We can pick any quality we want. And if I have to pick one quality out of Ramakrishna, I always say it is the harmony he tried to bring about. Although it goes in such a subtle manner, you really have to go deep into understanding. According to me, this was the reason Ramakrishna was put on this earth at that time where he was born, to bring harmony. So much so, he actually practiced many different dharmas, many different religions, not just preach. And as far as I know, he was the first guru who practiced, not just preached, but practiced many different dharmas. One who practiced many different religions in such a short time. So I would pick the harmony of thought, word and action at an individual level, harmony amongst people within the family, harmony between communities within the nation, harmony of different dharmas, different religions within the country, harmony of various different countries when you take the bigger picture, harmony of religions, and harmony of East and West culture. What more can we ask? And this is the message that Vivekananda spread wherever he went to. Sometimes we forget that. Even as devotees, we forget that. The main aim of Ramakrishna was to bring harmony right from the individual level, at the level of humanity itself. And in this day and age, this is what we need. Not just want, we want this and we need this. When I say we, is not just the devotees of Ramakrishna. Anywhere in the world, in this day and age, this message of Ramakrishna has to be spread like wildfire. The harmony, starting at the individual level to the level of humanity itself. I just gave an example what I have taken from these personalities, avatars, personal gods, as our Swamiji says, God with a small g, and a guru. For some of us, a personal God and guru is the same. So, that is the second angle. Let's get to the third way of looking at religion and spirituality. It says, you are an infinite spiritual being having a temporary human experience. Even to put it more simply, we are all spiritual beings. But we are going through this human experience. That is where we get caught up with these little things, anger, jealousy, comparison, and whatnot. These are human qualities, no doubt, of course. If we look at ourselves as human beings, we will get caught up with these negative feelings, both within ourselves, being unkind to ourselves, because we know we have made certain mistakes. Even within the family or within the organization. So we feel bad and we get caught up in these negative aspects. Yes, when we consider as human beings, when I say human beings, as an untrained human being, I have to say, we will get caught up. But if we train ourselves, then we can truly experience that we are spiritual beings. Yes, once in a while, sometimes, or at times, for a length of period, we're going to go through these human experiences. But we have the capacity and we have the capability, the cerebral capability to be experience ourselves as spiritual beings and not get caught up as an untrained human being. For this, the level where we are in, we cannot be choosy. We do not have the luxury to choose. Okay, I am a devotee. All I want is devotion, the bhakti marga, path of bhakti. Or I am a jnani. All I need is the message to keep going deeper into not just Bhagavad Gita, but to our Vedas, not just our Vedas, to our Upanishads, and even those Upanishads into the ultimate angle of Upanishads, that is the Advaita. We don't have the luxury. And to help, especially Sri Ramakrishna has given us a really easy path. You don't have to choose one over the other, combine two, and I will give you two more paths, he says, which is the Karma Yoga and the Raja Yoga, which is nothing but training the mind. Raja Yoga is training the mind, and Karma Yoga, what you're all doing, the volunteering service. Right? At the center. Sometimes, even if you have to put this even more simply than this, Vivekananda has put this as religion is nothing but manifestation of divinity that is already within us. That we need to add. He has also said that in other places, but we just want to make it as easy as possible, we forget that the divinity is within each and every one of us, and it is already there. And to go further in this statement, he says, manifest this divinity within you, and everything will be harmoniously arranged around this process. Manifest this divinity that is already within you, and everything else will fall in place. We're going to see this from a neuroscience perspective, but I've added one more aspect to this. Even this word, our scriptures say this, which is once you have, or not even once, once you're in the process of manifesting this divinity, then try and help others also to manifest this divinity. It's a beautiful thing. These are the only three things that we need to remember. That we are spiritual beings. We're going through human experience because we have an untrained mind. And secondly, we all have this divinity that is already within us, and we have to keep manifesting this divinity again and again and again. Second point. Third point is, as we are manifesting this divinity within us, help others also to manifest this divinity. Okay, watch out. This is not a stage to reach according to neuroscience. Definitely it is not a stage. But this has to give us joy. We keep thinking, okay, if I do this much sadhana, if I increase my japa, if I do meditation not just once but twice a day, then I will reach a stage, is what we start thinking, right? When we just start our sadhana. It doesn't work that way. When we have to learn to implement this in our daily lives, it's not a stage to reach. And it's a moment to moment to moment process. Just hearing this itself is empowering, because if it is a stage, we keep on going to reaching for that stage, and it keeps moving away. We know that. It's like the carrot that is front of the donkey, right? It is hanging in front of us. The donkey keeps going to reach that carrot, and it keeps moving away if it is a stage to reach. The most beautiful thing, the most empowering thing is not a stage but a moment to moment to moment process, which means we can be at a very high level, feeling that we are spiritual beings. The next moment we can go down deep, because it's an untrained mind, right? Spewing anger and hatredness towards our loved ones. It happens, it's okay. But the next moment we need to know that we have the capacity, cerebral capacity, to again go high as a spiritual being. I'm just putting it in a scientific form, but this is what it says in our scriptures. In Bhagavatam, today is the day that we need to be remembering about Bhagavatam, all the Leela of Krishna, Krishna's stories. In Bhagavatam it says, Brahmavaloka Dhishanam. Translation, simple translation is, humans have the cerebral capacity, not just humans, only humans have the capacity, cerebral capacity to understand God. Again, I have to put a plug in here, because it's all. My personal message of Ramakrishna is harmony, right? I'm not bringing phrases from other religions too, so that we can harmonize. If I remember correctly, it's a Sufi mystic, probably Rumi, but let's say Sufi mystic. He says, I went looking for God and I found myself. Beautiful, isn't it? So beautiful. It doesn't stop there. He also says, I went looking for myself and I found God. You have heard this, but in context, to hear this again and again feels so beautiful and empowering too, and full of hope that it is possible, because it's not a stage to reach, it's on a moment to moment to moment basis. So I'm going to try and connect this to the work we all do. The work that we do, so much charity work that we do, right? And we know we invite so many of our family, other members of the family or even friends. The time hasn't come for many of them, so they don't even join us for this charity work. But charity is a way to look at, and I'm giving my own understanding, it is still when we have to see the people that we give as they are poor people. We need to help them. Very important. But when we see them as poor people, we need to help them. Then we get this feeling of charity. Nothing wrong. But that is the very first stage. As our Swamiji says, it's a kindergarten stage. Can we move from even using the word from charity to the next level, which is we have an opportunity to serve other human beings who may not be as whatever, may not be as educated or as, how would I say, may not have the things that we have, so we want to help them. And it is our opportunity to serve. This is the next level. But what Ramakrishna's message is, that is great. Even these two stages, I tell you, this is really, really high level. But he has given us the highest level. And this is what even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. If you study Bhagavad Gita from an Advaitic angle, whatever Ramakrishna has said, this is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita from an Advaitic angle, which is, see the God within those human beings. Shiva Jnane Jiva Seve. First manifest the divinity within you and try and help manifest that divinity in others. Do you know how tough it is? It's easy to say. We say these words and we have to start uttering and repeating and saying these words, Shiva Jnane Jiva Seve. And ultimately one day we reach a stage we can really, really feel this. Because Ramakrishna says this is the ultimate state. Until we can actually really feel it. Yes, we have felt it momentarily. To really feel it, we have to keep repeating it. And we will be able to feel not just moment to moment, but for a length of time. And not just with few people, with everybody. This is how, from religion, moving on to spirituality, not leaving the religious rituals, all the activities, religious activities that we do. But doing that from a a different perspective. Understanding and doing, that is when it becomes empowering. So for this, all that is the introduction for the spirituality part. Now let us combine the scientific aspect and see how can we get to feel all of this. And neuroscience very simply says all you need to do is to train your mind. And how do we do that? To combine both neuroscience and the Bhagavad Gita aspect, I've chosen 2 shlokas from Bhagavad Gita and use that, combine it with Swamiji's sayings, maybe Swami Vivekananda's sayings, and see how we can train our mind from a scientific perspective. I say scientific because then it becomes common for everybody. And not only common, but it's also reproducible. If we do it in a certain way, it has to produce those results. If it is not producing the results, elevate yourself. Nobody else can do that for you. Elevate yourself through the power of your own mind. Don't go mortgaging your mind to anybody. You have that potential within you. You have the power within you. And elevate yourself through your own mind. And when you do this, mind can be your friend. And the times when we cannot elevate ourselves, because I said it's a moment-to-moment basis. If you look at it in a scientific way, let us not box the individuals as, oh, they're so negative, others are so positive. We don't know. Everybody will be positive or negative at different times. So the way we can make our mind to be our friend is to be able to train that mind of ours, and we have that capacity and capability to make our own minds as our own friend. The next shloka I have chosen is Bandhuratmatmanastasya enatmaivatmana jitaha anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmaiva shatruvatu. Okay. The same message. For him who has conquered his own mind, the mind becomes his own best friend. And for the one who has failed to train the mind, let us say training is a process, right? Whereas conquered is a stage. I would like to use as we train our mind. And if we don't train our mind, at times, the nature of mind is such that it acts like an untrained mind at the level and stage we are in. Then our own mind acts as the greatest enemy. Keep these 2 Bhagavad Gita shlokas in mind and let us look at this. How do we train our minds from a scientific perspective? And it says self-knowledge, that is understanding our own selves, our own mind, how this brain works. That is nothing but self-knowledge is empowering. And we need to uplift ourselves. Uddharet atmanatmanam. We need to uplift ourselves. When we do that, that self-knowledge is the beginning of self-improvement. This is how we uplift ourselves. How do we do that? By being neurosculptors. What do I mean by that? Neurosculptors? We need to become sculptors of our own lives. What do I mean by that? Look at this picture. I chose this. I was lucky to find this picture, a sculptor carving out Hanuman, because I know how Hanuman is loved in this country. Right? So, what is this sculptor doing? He takes a outside a big mass of stone, and he chips away everything that is not Hanuman. Because only he, not you and me, only the sculptor sees the Hanuman in that big solid boulder. It is solid, but he can see with his inner eye, Antarchakshuhu. Even though it is solid, he knows how much he has to remove the stone that is in front, behind, back, at the side. Because inside, as though it is so transparent, the sculptor can see the Hanuman figure in that solid mass of stone. He chips away everything that is not Hanuman and brings out a beautiful Hanuman image or idol in that solid mass of stone, which is just stone for you and me. But for him, it is Hanuman hidden in the stone. He can see that in a transparent manner. We can be that sculptor. We should be able to see in a transparent manner what we want to sculpt out of our future, of our lives. Not only we are that sculpture, first we are that marble. Our brain is the stone. Like for the sculptor, the stone is outside. But for us, that stone or the marble is inside. It is our brain. And we are the sculptors. We are the ones who have to chisel out the brain the way we want it. And the sculpture that we make is nothing but our future. Whatever the Hanuman was outside, whatever your future is going to be, which means you have to foresee yourself in the future. I always say, if you don't know what you want to be, you can never be. We have to have a clear picture of ourselves. What is our goal in our lives? If we do not have a clear-cut goal, we will not get what we want. We need to know what we want in our lives. So this whole process is called neuroplasticity. For some of you who have been attending, this is only at a meta level I'm talking. I'm not going to go too deep. Just very quickly I'm going to cover these concepts. If you want to know more about these tools, of course, there is the last day of the series that the organizers have arranged on the art and science of well-being. You can come to that last session and go deeper into these tools. But the technical term of sculpting out our own lives the way we want, you can create your own future and you can create your own destiny. As little kids, we thought destiny is written on our foreheads, right? That is how we were taught. That is the kindergarten stage. That's the first stage. We need to believe in that. But we need to move on saying that no, we can create our own destiny. And creating destiny is nothing but the technical term for creating our own destiny, technical term, scientific term of creating our own future is neuroplasticity, I can say that. And the tools for to become neurosculptors, the sculptor had chisel, hammer, those are the tools that he used, right? So what are our tools? Let us see the tools. And I say 3 in 1 because we are the sculptor, sculpture and the marble. All the 3 are within us. That's our brain. So 3 in 1. And what are the tools? The tools are our powers of our conscious mind. First, we need to be aware, self-awareness. We need to be aware of what we want to be. And we need to be aware that we can be. That also, because sometimes people who are highly religious, those who only go on bhakti path, who don't want to get into the jnana, will not or may not buy into the knowledge aspect of science. Until and unless we buy into the science, because the tools are so easy in science, much easier. It's the same tools that is given in our Yoga Sutras, Patanjali Yoga Sutra, the Raja Yoga, but with different terminology. And in this day and age, we make it so simple. If we don't believe in science, and if we are not aware of these scientific methodologies, then we won't be able to. So that first and foremost important aspect is self-awareness. Just being aware is not enough. We need to be able to choose. We have the power to choose, and that is called free will. Yes, we have the power to choose. One day I want to be this, another day I want to be that. And some other day, because somebody else introduced something else, we want to be that. It doesn't work that way. No. We need to have the discerning power, the discrimination power. First, what is good for me and what is not at this stage? And what is good in short-term perspective and what is good for me for the long-term perspective? And what is good overall? That discerning power and discrimination power we need to have. Again, just these are not going to be enough. We need to will to do that. That willpower is so important. These 4 powers, the free will, the self-awareness, the discerning power and the willpower, all this together what produces concentration or focus. Because you might be thinking, focusing power is not, she's not mentioning this. When we have all of this, that results in focusing power or concentration. These are the powers of our conscious mind, and these are the powers that distinguish us as human beings from the rest of the animal kingdom. This is the reason we are born as human beings to exercise all these powers and to create the future that we want, to create the destiny that we want. Look how our scriptures, Lord Krishna comes into place. You can have all of this Duryodhana had, all of this Ravana had. We need to know the true discerning power, which is, as Swamiji has taught us, Nitya Anitya Viveka, from the spiritual angle, from the religious angle, from the spiritual perspective, those terms. Otherwise, Ravana had all of this. He created his own destiny the way he wanted, right? And the same way with Duryodhana. Their powers sometimes were much more than sometimes what the Pandavas had. Sometimes the Pandavas doubted themselves. That is where Krishna had to come as a being and tell the Pandavas, I am already within you. The same way we have both Pandavas and Kauravas within us. The scientific term, what I talk about ants, I keep it at a different level, call it as ants because everybody has it. If you have to really go deeper, those are our Kaurava characteristics, Kaurava traits. All of us have. And we also have the traits of Pandavas. But even much more than any of these two, this I can only talk at a platform like this, not in a scientific platform. We forget, we also have the Krishna within us. Each one of us has the Krishna consciousness within us. We need to ignite the Krishna within to be able to conquer ourselves, uplift ourselves, and be empowered. So, how do we chip away our brains to form whichever, the Krishna that is already within us, so we can move from Hanuman to Krishna and it will suit our the celebrations, this 1 week of celebrating Krishna Ashtami. So how do we chip away our brain to create the Krishna that we want? This is the story behind the neuroplasticity research. But before going there, I want to bring this to your notice. Vivekananda's saying that we speak of many things parrot-like, but never do them. Speaking and not doing has become a habit with us. What's the cause of that? Physical weakness. This sort of weak brain is not able to do anything. We must strengthen it. This, as a neuroscientist, this another saying which I have not brought this today. I will bring that up in the next talk, the last day of Krishna Janmashtami celebrations. This, according to me, is the seed of neuroplasticity. I want to put this on record, saying that he has not used the terms neuroplasticity. He left that for us scientists to coin those terms. Neurosculptor, neuroplasticity. He left for us scientists to coin those terms. But the seed of neuroplasticity is in this statement. You will understand this when I just quickly touch upon what is neuroplasticity, because just focus on the first part of this saying. We just speak parrot-like, but we don't follow it up with our actions. And we will see how following it up with actions is so important. And what I will do is, because of lack of time, I will just mention this, that the story behind neuroplasticity is that present Dalai Lama challenged the Western neuroscientists, saying that if you change your mind in a particular way, you can actually change the structure of the brain. You may ask, why do I care about changing the structure of the brain? I cannot see how the brain is changing. I know how to change my mind. I can change my mind like that. That is enough for me, is what we all think. But until and unless our brain, the structure and function of the brain changes, our lives will not change. In other words, just changing our thoughts. Changing our mind means what? Changing our thoughts, changing our feelings, changing our emotions, changing our belief system, changing our perception, changing our memories will result in a particular way, not in a flippant manner, but in a particular way. If we can change our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, our belief system, our mindset, our perception, our memories in a particular organized, effortful, willful manner over a period of time, that is where the structure and function of the brain can change. Then and only then our lives can change. This is how we are changing our lives. I am not saying anything new. And this is what has been said in our scriptures, and I am bringing scientific terminology for us to be convinced, to be able to do that. If you have gotten rid of any unwanted old habit, or if you have formed any new habit, this is the way you have done. I am just trying to give you how the mechanism behind change in our habits in a scientific form, so that we can get empowered. And that all of this has to result in our change in our experience, change in our actions, change in our habits. Then and only then long-lasting changes in our lives can happen. And that is what Swami Vivekananda said 150 years back. We know how to say things. Just like parrots, we repeat the words. But it has to start from there. Don't take me wrong. We have to keep repeating until we get convinced that we need to put it into practice. We start off like that, but it has to end in actions. It has to end in change in our habits. And it has to end in change in our experience with others too. That whole process is neuroplasticity, and it begins from a single thought, but it has to end with action. Now, we know how it forms, but what is it that, even knowing all of this, it's not that easy. It's at an intellectual level of understanding. We need to put it into practice again. Why is it we can change our minds, but it is so hard to change our habits? Have you thought about it? Because there is something that prevents us, which we have not been taught. So we're going to know what this is about. What is it that prevents the mind to be our own friend, and what needs to be chipped away from this brain of ours so that we can create the Krishna the way we want it, right? What needs to be chipped away? Again, in just couple of minutes I'm going to breeze through, because I've been repeating again and again for the past 2 weeks. I'm here, hopefully not ad nauseum, but I have been repeating over and over again. So these are the things that we need to chip away, which are the automatic negative thoughts. The ants that you see is symbolic. Just like in nature, we have different types of ants. In a similar manner, our thoughts can be classified into black ants, which are innocuous but still negative. Red ants, which is we have to watch out, up to termites and fire ants. As soon as you see termite, you need to get rid of, otherwise we know what happens to the wood. In a similar manner, there are many different types of negative thoughts within us. They're called automatic negative thoughts. We don't need to put any effort to get these ants, I can tell you. They happen automatically and spontaneously, because without any exception, each and every one of us, not just the people who are sitting here, every human being has this innate negativity bias that is built within us. And because of this bias, our negative thoughts, negative feelings, negative emotions, negative memories, negative belief system, negative perception, they stick like Velcro in our mind. Whereas anything that is positive, be it may positive thought, positive emotion, positive feeling, positive belief system, positive perception, positive memories, they get washed off like the non-stick material, the Teflon material that we see in the non-stick pan. And because of that, what happens? Because they're automatic and the negative thoughts stick and they go unnoticed and unchecked. unchecked and unnoticed. When that happens, our mind goes back and forth like a pendulum between past and future, looking at past with so much of regret. I should have done this. I should have done that. I should never have done this. That is how we look at our past with regret. And we look at the future. Oh my goodness, how can we be here with so much that is happening in our country? This is what I hear everywhere I go, irrespective of which country I have been to. Because grass is always greener on the other side, so we want to be wishing and hoping to move to a better place. Nothing wrong, I'm not making any value judgment here, just to understand I'm giving an example. If we take the same mind which is untrained, it does not matter where we go. Whatever problems we have here, whatever challenges that we are facing, we will take it along with us with the same mind, untrained mind. And whereas if you train your mind, it doesn't matter where you are. That will be heaven on earth. So, because of these unchecked, unnoticed ants, what do these ants do with this slide? What we have to take home message on this? Ants, automatic negative thoughts, don't allow us to be in the present moment. Here and now, now and here. We're always going back and forth between past and future like pendulum. So what we need to remember is these ants prevent us to be in the present moment. But we don't know. All we have is now. Past and future are our mental constructs. Again, you don't go into my English grammar now. I'm going to use a couple of sentences which will not make sense if you are looking from a grammatical perspective. When past was happening yesterday, it was today. Tomorrow hasn't happened. When tomorrow is going to happen, tomorrow will be today. Which means, or it does not mean that we cannot learn from the past and plan for the future. Yes, we need to do that. But if we are going to be doing something, the doing part, the action part, the becoming part, can only happen in the present moment. Whenever we are doing something, that is the present moment, the only moment. Here and now, now and here. We might be sitting here, the mind will be elsewhere, somewhere there. We are sitting here, mind is over there. It does not work. We have to be doing. Doing part, you can see both mind and body together. Yes, we know we can be doing certain things like our chores, mind will be away, but I'm still doing is what you're going to say, right? In a conscious manner. When that happens, when we are doing something like driving a car, mind is elsewhere, planning for the vacation that we're going to be taking. We are doing this unconsciously. Non-consciously we are doing things. Then the body can be at one place, mind can be, we can even take advantage of that. That is what we usually do. All the chores that we do at home, whether at home or at work, if it's something routine that we do at work, we just keep doing, and we also are on the phone. We can do two things, one consciously, another non-consciously. I'm not talking about that. Doing in a conscious manner, we can only do in the present moments. Extremely important for us to remember. So all we ever have is now. You know what? All is now. That is all we want. One moment at a time. But we need to know how to play it right at that moment. Even at that moment, we are sitting here and thinking, yeah, she's saying all of this. She does not know what I'm going through. I can see that many a times when I give talks in the faces of people. Yes, that but keeps coming up. So all we ever have is now, and all we need to know how to be in the now. How to be in the now is the last slide I'm going to talk about before concluding, which is how to be in the now. This is the neuroscience tool for implementation, which again you have heard many a times, to be mindful. Wherever in this present moment, if we need to be mindful, again very easy for us to understand. Only 3 things about being mindful. 2 things we already know, which we already do. Whenever we are focusing, we are in the present moment and we are focused, paying attention in a particular manner. How to pay the attention in a non-judgmental way. Not making judgments about whether this is going to work or not. It's so easy to say, so hard to do. None of that. In a non-judgmental manner, if we are in the present moment and paying attention in a particular way, that is all there is to it. This is the simplest of simple tools. If we can use that, then we can be chipping away our own automatic negative thoughts in a mindful manner, so we can believe in ourselves, so that we can be ourselves. Just be you. Thank you.
मर कर भी अमर नाम
I thank Dr. Krishna Ashtami for the most insightful talk this morning. Brothers and sisters, kindly take note of the following announcements. The Johannesburg Sub-Center hosts the Hinduism children's classes, which are held every Sunday morning from 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. All are welcome to attend. The Johannesburg Sub-Center will be hosting its Sri Krishna Ashtami celebrations on Thursday, 18th of August, here at the Marlborough Hall from 7 p.m. till midnight. The program consists of bhajans, kirtans, and talks by most revered Srimad Swami Gautamananda Ji Maharaj, revered Swami Sharada Prabhananda Ji Maharaj, and Dr. Usha Vastare. Prasad and snacks will be served. The Johannesburg Sub-Center will be hosting its Sri Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations on Wednesday, 18th of August, here at the Marlborough Hall from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. The program consists of bhajans, kirtans, and talks by most revered Srimad Swami Gautamananda Ji Maharaj, revered Swami Sharada Prabhananda Ji Maharaj, and thereafter supper will be served. Please partake of prasad, and we wish you a safe journey home. Om Namo Narayana.